Now when the Sabbath was past, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary, the mother of James and Salome, bought spices. They might come and anoint him. And on the first day of the week at early dawn they came, and certain others with them, to see the sepulchre, bringing the spices and anointments which they had prepared.
And behold, there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled away the stone from the door and sat upon it. His appearance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. And for fear of him, those on guard trembled and became like dead men. Now, after Jesus rose, early on the first day of the week, he appeared first to Mary Magdalene, out of whom he had cast 7 demons. Mary came to the sepulchre while it was yet dark, and saw that the stone had been removed from the tomb. She ran therefore and came to Simon Peter and to the other disciple whom Jesus loved, and said to them, "They took away the Lord from the sepulchre, and we know not where they laid him."
Peter, therefore, and the other disciple arose and went forth and ran toward the sepulchre, and they began to run together. But the other disciple outran Peter and reached the sepulchre first. And stooping down, he saw the linen cloth lying there, but did not go in. Simon Peter therefore came, following him, and he went into the sepulchre. And stooping down, he saw the linen cloths lying by themselves, and the napkin which had been about his head, not lying with the linen cloths, but folded up in a place by itself.
Then therefore the other disciples also, who had reached the tomb first, went in, and he saw and believed that he must rise from the dead. The disciples departed again to the abode, wondering what had come to pass.
But Mary, she kept standing outside near the sepulchre, and she was weeping. And while she was weeping, she stooped and looked into the tomb. She saw 2 angels in white, one sitting at the head, the other at the feet, where they had laid the body of Jesus. And the angels asked her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" She said to them, "Because they took my Lord away, and I know not where they have laid him." And when she had spoken this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there. But she did not recognize him. She didn't know who he was. And Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Who are you looking for?" And she, supposing him to be the gardener, said to him, "Sir, if you have taken away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." And Jesus said to her, "Mary." Turning around, she said to him, "Rabboni," which is to say, "Dear teacher."
Jesus said to her, "Do not hold me, for I have not yet ascended to my Father. But go to my brethren and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God." Mary Magdalene went and told those who had been with him, as they mourned and wept, that she had seen the Lord, and he had spoken these things to her. But though they, hearing that he was alive and had been seen by her, disbelieved it.
Now Joanna and Mary, the mother of James, and the other women with them, came to the sepulchre when the sun had risen. And they were saying among themselves, "Who will roll us away the stone from the door of the sepulchre?" For it was very great. But when they looked up, they saw that the stone had been rolled away. Then on entering the sepulchre, they found not the body of the Lord Jesus. But it came to pass that as they were much perplexed about this,
They saw a young man sitting at the right side, clothed in a long white garment, and they were greatly amazed. Behold, 2 men stood by them in dazzling garments.
And as they became terrified and bowed their faces to the ground, the angel answered and said to the women, "Do not fear, do not be amazed, for I know that you seek Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. Why seek the living among the dead? He is not here, for he is risen, as he said. Remember how he spoke to you while he was yet in Galilee, saying, 'The Son of Man must be delivered into the hands of sinful men and be crucified, and the 3rd day rise again.' And they remembered his words. And he said to them, 'Come see the place where the Lord lay, but go quickly and tell his disciples and Peter that he has risen from the dead, and behold, he is going before you into Galilee, where there shall you see him. And as he said to you, lo, I have told you.'"
So they went out quickly and fled from the sepulchre, for trembling and astonishment possessed them. Neither said they anything to anyone, for they were afraid. And they started to run to tell his disciples. But as they were on their way, behold, Jesus met them, saying, "Rejoice!" And they came and seized him by his feet and worshipped him. Then said Jesus to them, "Fear not. Go tell my brethren to go into Galilee, and there they shall see me." And they returned with great joy and told all these things to the 11 apostles and to all the rest. But these words seemed to them as idle tales, and they did not believe the women.
Now as they were going, behold, some of the guard came into the city and reported to the chief priests all that had come to pass. And they, when they had assembled with the elders and counseled together, gave the soldiers a large sum of money, saying, "Say that his disciples came by night and stole him away while we slept. And if this comes to the governor's ears, we will persuade him and free you from trouble." So they took the money and did as they were told. And this report is spread abroad among the Jews to the present day. Then after these things, he was revealed in another manner. And behold, the same day 2 of them were walking into the country, to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem. And they were talking together about all these things that had taken place. And it came to pass that as they conversed and reasoned, Jesus himself drew near and walked with them. But their eyes were held from recognizing him. And he said to them, "What are these things which you are discussing with each other as you walk with sad faces?" And one whose name was Cleopas answered and said to him, "Are you the only sojourner in Jerusalem who has not known the things that have happened there in recent days?"
And he said to them, "What are these things which you are discussing with each other?" Wait a second. I'm good. And he asked them, "What things?" And they said to him, "The things concerning Jesus of Nazareth, a man who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, and how the chief priests and our rulers delivered him up to be condemned to death and crucified him. Now we were trusting that it was he who would redeem Israel. But to top it all, this is the 3rd day since these things happened. And besides, certain women from among us astonished us. who were at the sepulchre early in the morning and did not find his body. And they came saying that they had even seen a vision of angels who said that he was alive. And some of those who were with us went to the sepulchre and found it so, as the women had said, but he did not see them.
Then said he unto them, O foolish ones, and slow of heart to believe all the things which the prophets uttered, was it not needful that the Messiah should suffer these things and enter into his glory? And beginning from Moses and all the prophets, he expounded to them in all the scriptures the things that concerned himself. Then they drew near to the village where they were going, and he made as though he would go farther. But they constrained him, saying, Lodge with us, come on, hang out. For it is toward evening, and the day is now far spent. So he went to the lodge with them. And it came to pass, as he reclined at the table with them, that he took the bread and blessed it and broke it, and began to give it to them. And their eyes were opened, and they knew him. And he vanished out of their sight. Then said they to each other, Did not our hearts burn within us as he talked with us on the road and kept opening up to us the scriptures?
And rising up that same hour, they returned to Jerusalem, and they found the 11 and those with them assembled together, saying, The Lord has risen indeed, and he appeared to Simon. So they told the things that had happened on the road, and how he was known by them in the breaking of bread. But they did not believe him.
But as they were speaking these things, it being therefore evening of that first day of the week, the doors being shut where the disciples were assembled, for fear of the Jews, Jesus himself came and stood in their midst and said to them, Peace to you. Yet they were shocked and were filled with fear, and thought that they were beholding a spirit. But he said to them, Why are you troubled, and why do doubtings arise in your hearts? Behold my hands and feet, that is, I myself. Handle me and see, for a spirit does not have flesh and bones, as you see I have. And when he had said this, he showed them his hands and feet and his side.
Then did the disciples rejoice at seeing the Lord. And while they were still disbelieving for joy, they were filled with the wonder. He said to them, Have you anything here to eat? And they gave him a piece of broiled fish and of a honeycomb, and he took it and ate it before them. Jesus therefore said again to them, Peace to you. As the Father has sent me forth, so I am sending you. And when he said this, he breathed on them, and he said to them, Take the Holy Spirit. Anyone's sins you forgive, they have been forgiven them. And anyone's sins which you retain, they have been retained.
Now Thomas, called Didymus, one of the 12, was not with him when Jesus came. The other disciples therefore said to him, We've seen the Lord. But he said to them, Unless I see in his hands the imprint of the nails, and press my finger into the marks of the nails, and my hand into his side, I will not at all believe. Then after 8 days, his disciples were again indoors, and Thomas with them. Though the doors had been shut, Jesus came and stood in their midst and said, "Peace to you." Then said he to Thomas, "Bring here your fingers and look at my hands, and bring your hand and press it into my side. And be not unbelieving, but believing." And Thomas answered and said to him, "My Lord and my God." Jesus said to him, "Because you have seen me, Thomas, you have believed. Blessed are they who have not seen and yet have believed."